Allow me to introduce to you Brooke Jonesy and Generally Specific, two mental midgets who hate America. Uh, and if you ever get into discussion with them, they never do it one on one because they are cowards. When you do get a discussion with them and that you don't follow the narrative, they will 100% of the time obfuscate. They'll make childish noises, they will talk over you, and they will dodge and distract. I would like to point out to both of them that either one of them, not both at the same time, are welcome to join me on my panel and have a discussion about the following content. Uh, but the first question, if this happens, will be, did you watch the content? And if the answer is no, well, we will end it and maybe do it some other time. If they have watched the content, then they are welcome to bring forth any questions, any contradictions, anything they like along those topics. And here, for the next 40 some odd minutes, is what they need to watch before they do this. But trust me, they won't do this because they are cowards.
How the free world will conquer communism with the aid of God and a few Marines. God has a hard-on for Marines because we kill.
God has a hard-on for Marines because we kill.
I think we're just gonna sign off.
Okay. If you see me in 15 minutes over at the other place, that's a recording. I'm actually going to be in bed or maybe smoking a cigarette. Y'all have a good night.
All right, everybody.
You too.
Good night to everyone. Thanks for coming.
Yep.
Cheerio.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
That was us wrapping up over at Chat and Play at 11:15 p.m. on the 21st of January. And as indicated there, earlier that evening, I had recorded on StreamYard an event to go live at 11:30 p.m. It was already pre-recorded, no more editing at 11:15 when I'm crawling off to bed because I'm tired. I haven't been sleeping well lately, and I didn't know it at 11:15 p.m., but I was going to have another sleepless night. Shit's going on in my circle, and I'm dealing with it, but it's leaving me wakeful. So after attempting to sleep, I realized that I'm not going to be able to sleep. Anyway, the recording I'm referring to was the bit on Sarah the Raging Tomato when Todd was being a jackwagon and calling her all kinds of nasty names because he's a nasty motherfucker. But yeah, I was wakeful. So almost a couple hours later, I realized, okay, I'm not going to sleep. So I reached out to my good friend, Just Muxter, and I asked him any good streams on, and he suggested something called Grim. I'm not sure what Grim is, but I landed at Jeff's Hill Pirate Studios.
Oh, Todd, you look real happy. Really enjoying yourself there, aren't you, Todd? Having fun, bud? Having fun, Todd? Having a good time, are you? Yeah? Okay, if you say so. You're surely not coping and seething.
So, Jeff and Scotto over at the Hill Pirate Studios, they were having a good time dunking on, yeah, you guess who? Todd Bryant. And it looks like he is actually stream sniping them. Later on, I found out that he had watched my short bit with Raging Tomato, and he alleged that I ran away because he was watching. I didn't know he was watching until the next day. But he did join me later because he was watching out for me. Now keep in mind, the Hill Pirate Studios group, they have lives, so they were bedding down about 1:15, 1:20 a.m. Eastern time. I know it's much earlier for Scotto. He's on the West Coast. But okay, where else can I go? Oh, I know. Let's go to Resla's. Now, with me being wakeful and muckster over somewhere called Grimm in Hill Pirate Studios off to bed. I joined Resla, and we're having a lively discussion, a little bit heated. I'm finding some things unbelievable. Of course, when Finkel is on Resla's, people who haven't been there in a while suddenly do appear. That's almost the stupidest
Let me
thing
ask
she
you,
ever said.
LG, have you ever gone through your life and heard the term bootlicker? See, I'm not like
Yeah,
anybody.
I have. Let me bring these other people up real quick.
I don't even know what a fucking bootlicker is. Never heard that before.
Okay, play dumb. Okay, that's fine.
Sure. I don't know what to tell you. Sure.
Damn, now you're calling the man a liar.
I'm calling him a liar, and I'm calling you a liar too, motherfucker.
I
And
don't
the guy
fuck-
well. If it isn't Tweedledee and Tweedledum, or is it Dumb and Dumber? Yes, Generally Specific and Brick Jonesy decide that they're going to join. Why? Because one, they have each other, and two, they think Finkel is already being dogpiled on. Finkel's not being dogpiled on. He's just having a little heated debate. And they come in, and as always, they change the course of the discussion because it's all about them. But let's take a look at what was happening moments before, unknown to me because Hill Pirate Studios, they went to bed after streaming much earlier of the point of subpar gaming. Let's watch what the subpar gaming was telling his audience. This is near the end of the stream, the same stream where he thought I ran away from him because he thinks I thought he was sniping me when I did the pre-recording. The guy's a fucking clown. The guy is a fucking moron. But he's pretty tired, and he's about to wrap up. But something's going to happen right after he wraps up.
All right, let me. It's pretty much over, guys. I'm gonna call it here because I'm pretty exhausted. I'm gonna lay down for a little bit, and I'll probably see you guys maybe this afternoon or maybe later on tonight if I'm on. So I'll talk to y'all later.
But wait! Brick Jones, bestest buddy in the whole wide world, to Generally Specific. One texted the other, I don't know which way it was, but they're like, hey, Finkel's getting into a debate on Resla. Let's go join the party. And sure enough, they both joined at the same time. For the first time in several days. So the bitch boys joined the panel discussion about bootlicking. About does L.A. Wilkes know what a bootlicker is, and his denial that he knew what it was. I found it hard to believe, and we were kind of going back and forth, and presto changeo, all of a sudden, out of the clear blue, Generally Specific, who was just about to go to bed, maybe he was wakeful like me, and Brick Jones come on at the same time, and they alter the course, as always, whatever the topic is on Resla, if they see Finkel, they're going to jump up there and they're going to change the topic 100% of the time. What are they going to change the topic to this time?
So Finkel, did you or did you not say you were aroused, very aroused when Ashley Babbitt was shot that day?
Oh, damn! Snap! Dead bitch, going to hell, Oathbreaker. That's where you belong, Ashley Babbitt. In hell. Burn, bitch, burn. Whew, that was exciting every time. I get aroused. Okay, let's get back to... Now, he's not going to say where on the internet that is forever that he heard that. Why? Because it's a video really showing him to be the retard that he is. The reason for the smiley face this time is because YouTube kept making it for adults only because of the violent action shown.
So Finkel, did you or did you not say you were aroused, very aroused when Ashley Babbitt was shot that day? Did you not say that? Now, careful. The internet's forever.
I said, I'm aroused.
There it is.
Now, what does the word aroused mean?
Yeah,
I
can
don't
mean
know.
anything.
I don't know. Oh,
It's
yeah,
on
easy.
our penis went up in the air, dude.
Now, because Generally Specific didn't learn the first 1,000 times we've been over this, he's trying to get a new audience to think the same thing that he thought, that it was a sexual arousement. And his bitch cover, Brick Jonesy, literally thinks it means penis up in the air, dude.
I
Can
don't
mean
know.
anything.
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
It's
his
on
penis went up in the air, dude.
You got to understand two things about Brick. One, he doesn't know what words mean in the first place. And two, he has no idea what the military culture is. Todd knows the military culture. Todd knows that in his little circle in the military, they used to say piss in each other's ass. That's a new one on me and most veterans I run into, but in his circles, that apparently was a thing, sexualizing things. But I'm not sexualizing, I mean awake, excite.
I don't know. What's the
Aroused
common
means your
use of
penis goes
aroused?
up in the air.
You get
Let us
excited.
Google the
Gotta
word
get orange.
aroused.
God.
Can we share what I have?
What is this?
Okay, all right.
Oh, stop saying
The
what
question
you're
is,
doing man for man.
the whole
That's
dictionary.
disgusting.
the question is,
And
did
you
I
did
say I
fucking
was
up with
aroused?
Debbie Harry earlier. Now do us all a favor, Todd. Go take a nap.
Wyatt,
Go drink your booze. Go
Wyatt.
take your medication and go to fuck sleep.
Okay, may I answer the question
Wyatt.
now?
Go
The question is, did I say I was
Go to
aroused?
sleep, ho.
I'm sorry? Okay. The answer to the question, did I say I was aroused? Yes, I said I was aroused. What I said was I evoked or awakened a feeling, emotion, or response. I awakened from sleep. I became alert. I am aroused. Now, he's confusing it with the only thing he can think of because he doesn't get any is a certain type of arousal, and that's sexual arousal. That is what Generally Specific thinks of when he hears the word aroused.
Because he hasn't had anything from Brandy in years.
But that's okay. We all know that's where Generally Specific was going before Brick Jones tried to give him cover. He said it 100, 1,000. I've lost count how many times before he's made reference to that video and sexual arousement. But okay, I honestly meant awakened, invoked a certain strong emotion, arousal of emotion. He thinks it's sexual, but I understand why he thinks it's sexual. And let's say, for his argument's sake, let's say it was sexual. Let's go over a little review of something that we're all familiar with. Here we have a classic. It's from the movie Full Metal Jacket. Anyone who served in the Army, Air Force, Navy, or Marine Corps from the time this movie was released up to and including today knows about Full Metal Jackets. This actor was on the production as an advisor when they were first shooting the film, and because of all of his advice, they realized because he actually was a Marine Corps drill instructor in this time frame, he knew how to better portray a real drill sergeant, drill instructor of the United States Marine Corps in Vietnam era basic training. And let us hear what he has said and what we've all repeated a million times.
God has a hard-on for Marine because we kill everything we see. He plays his games, we play ours.
And quite obviously, not was only that kind of humor there in the Vietnam era. Going forward, every time a trainee does good, a drill sergeant or a training instructor will be standing over him and her and say, "You're giving me a hard-on. You're making me aroused. Don't make me come." They say that shit. They said that shit back in the Vietnam days. They said it in the 80s, the first time Todd served. And they said it in the 2000s, the second time Todd served. It is a well-known fact. Looking back at it now from the age of 59, I think it's a little bit ridiculous, gay, a weird flex of masculinity. But You assembled that M60 in the EIB standards. The grader says, "Hooah! You're giving me a hard-on. You're making me aroused." So fuck off with your fake rage about Ashley Babbitt. Now, as discussed also 1,000 times before, Brick Jones and January Specific tried to pin me down and fell. You can go watch Resla from the 21st of January, if you wish, into the wee hours of the 22nd. They tried to pin me down on things January 6th. They tried to pin me down on things like, how did you know it was going to happen? Wow. They tried to pin me down on things like, where were you standing that you could see them? And some other bullshit. But come on, guys. If you watched any news, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, I don't care what slant, what you watched, between December 19th and January 6th, it was all over the fucking news. Leading from Trump's "it's gonna be wild" tweet up to and including when the attack started. Now, in the immediate aftermath of January 6, 2021, when people were starting to be arrested, sure enough, people had these posts on things like Facebook, Twitter, Rumble, Parler, you name it, Delphi forums. They started deleting their evidence. But as January Specific said, the internet is forever. And here we have a report of how government agencies failed to follow up on these reports when citizens were pointing out, hey, I saw this shit on Facebook. Hey, I saw this shit on Twitter. Who knows why, but they didn't react to it. They didn't take it seriously. Of course, it's kind of hard to believe that they're actually going to do that. But some of us did believe it, or at least that they would try. So we went out there with cameras. A First Amendment activity.
Trump's followers took to social media to declare that they were ready to answer Trump's call. One user asked, "Is the 6th D-Day? Is that why Trump wants everyone there?" Another asserted, "Trump just told us all to come armed. Fucking A, this is happening." A third took it even further. "It will be wild" means we need volunteers for the firing squad. Jim Watkins, the owner of 8kun, the fringe online forum that was birthplace of the QAnon extremist movement, confirmed the importance of Trump's tweet.
When did you first decide to go to D.C. for January 6th?
When the President of the United States announced that he was going to have a rally, then I bought a ticket and went.
Watkins was at the Capitol on January 6th. Some who have since been indicted for their...
Now, although the cowards deleted a lot of their posts and entries on the various forms of social media, it has been documented. I know you're going to think C-SPAN or Jamie Raskin or maybe the January 6th committee lied and made this shit up. But if you go back through the news from December 19th, 2021 to January 6th and a little bit beyond, you'll see screenshots of these and other social media posts. You really have to dig for it because this shit is 4 years old. Hell, dig for something last year. January Specific said, does anyone know where Finkel lays his head at night? I've spent hours trying to find that. I remember him saying it. Other people remember him saying it. But he has 2, 3, 4, 6 hour streams. I don't remember exactly when he said it. So it's kind of hard to find when he said it. Generally Specific is, if he has an ounce of integrity, he would admit that, yeah, he actually asks his audience that question. Does anybody know where Finkel lays his head? Why would you want to know that? I'm not going to claim you of having a sexual attraction to me. I'm going to suggest that maybe you thought you can intimidate me if I knew that you were looking for where I live. But anyway,
oh sure, yeah. I mean, after it was announced that
as it unfolded, and we saw these tweets and posts and forum entries and Facebook entries.
Okay, and that was pretty clearly
the
reflected.
people
in the
planning
content
on
the
doing
site.
things, there's all kinds of weird shit. There was a plan, thank God it fell apart, to park boats at the Pentagon Lagoon and come in across the 14th Street Bridge. Thank God the lazy bastards didn't want to do that because it was too far to walk. Thank God real warriors weren't planning this. What else can we cover on this? They definitely seemed last night, or I'm recording this on the 22nd, so I'll say last night. They definitely seemed hung up on the idea that it was a violent attack. It was a coordinated attack. Let's get into that. There's a million of these timelines out there, and they usually start around 8:17 when Trump made his Twitter post, and then 10:58 a.m. when Proud Boys were seen moving in the direction that they were moving. Now, it doesn't show on this time, but I'll get into it a little bit later. As early as 9 a.m., riots had started at the Washington Monument, and riots had started at the Lincoln Memorial. We'll go over that in a bit, and the tactical significance of that. But as the timeline goes on, and you can cross-reference it with any version of the timelines you want, and we have the gallows. Oh yes, the gallows. I heard specific and others. I heard people a year after the fact on the Matt Braynard bus talking about how the gallows was just a toy. If you look at this gallows, yes, that rope will work. And yes, someone whose neck is in it would have to be pretty tall not to be choked to death when pushed off that platform. Look at the people around the gallows. Get an eyeball for how tall they are, and imagine one of them with their neck in that noose and dangling off the side of that platform. Tell me that gallows would not have worked. It's not a by specs gallows, but it is a functioning gallows, and it was intended to be used.
We lost the line! We lost the line! All MPD, pull back! All MPD, pull back up to the upper deck! All MPD, pull back to the upper deck! ASAP! All MPD, come back to the upper deck! Upper deck! Cruiser 50 was blanked! 1033! I repeat, 1033, west front of the Capitol! We've been blanked and we've lost the line!
Now, if you follow the timeline, that's like at 12-something at the west front of the Capitol. A west front, that means west. That's the side oriented towards the National Mall, towards the Washington Monument, towards the Lincoln Memorial. And front means off a little bit as you're facing the Capitol building, a little bit to the right, which is where I spent most of my time. And that is where the first breach took place, and the police had to fall back. What else was happening on the mall before that?
Monument. Everyone's breaking through the bike rack. There's a large crowd that's following us. We're going back into the monument with the individual that's under arrest. They're breaking through the bike fence. We're inside. They're at the front of the gate.
The prisoner is inside the base of the monument with multiple park police officers, but they are completely surrounded with protesters, and they're trying to figure out a plan how to get the arrestee down to the wagon.
Yeah, both my squads of horses set up here on the south side. So if they can exit the building and come out to us, we should be able to escort them all the way down to the waiting wagon. How many guys you got with you in there?
Got about close to 20.
All right, that's good enough. If you can form a little bubble around the 1095, we'll have the gate open for you. What's your ETA? We got people starting to congregate around the horses.
If you think you just heard radio traffic from 3 hours before the first Capitol breach, halfway down the National Mall around the monument, by the way, all those specks, those are people. That's what the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the Three Percenters call tools. They're part of the distraction. They're not actually at the Capitol, but they're onto the rhetoric enough that they've now threatened and endangered police officers in the center of the National Mall, and they forced them to go inside the Washington Memorial to seek shelter, because that's how angry and violent the mob was. What is that, about a mile away, 2/3 of a mile away? It's a bit of a hike from the Washington Monument to the breach. It's going to go on 3 hours later at the Capitol building. Now, at the Washington Monument, that was at 9 a.m. Trump had just barely started speaking at the Ellipse. On the exact opposite of the mall from Capitol building, about half an hour, 40 minutes later, another riot broke out at the Lincoln Memorial. Not the Lincoln building, Todd, the Lincoln Memorial. And that is another, pretty close to a mile in the opposite direction. So you see what's happening here? Riot breaks out by tools at the Washington Monument. Riot breaks out by tools at the Lincoln Memorial. These are distractions. The tools are following orders and causing distractions so that less police resources are focused on the Capitol building itself. 9 a.m., Washington Monument. Close to 10 a.m., the Lincoln Memorial. And unbeknownst to us at the time, 2 pipe bombs near the Capitol at the Republican and Democratic National Committees. Following the timelines in the radio traffic, 9 a.m., attack at the Washington Monument. Close to 10 a.m., attack at the Lincoln Memorial. Sometime early in the morning, but we haven't figured it out yet, 2 pipe bombs planted off-center of Capitol Hill. In fact, actually off of Capitol Hill. This distracts police resources to other locations. This is long before the check the timeline, I think it's 12:43, the first breach, or 1:15, the second breach, or 1:30, the breach actually into the building. Going all the way up to Ashley's demise at 2:43 p.m., 14:43, all that violence leading up to that point before this radio message is transmitted. It is after this radio transmission is transmitted that you see pictures of people being escorted in by police. What happened before that point? All right, this is Gravely Point. It's at the northern border of Alexandria, southern border of Arlington. At Gravely Point, people were marshaled here and commuting up along the George Washington Parkway. This is where this is one of the many places where the rioters marshaled and parked their vehicles. On my way in, I came in here and I circled around and I saw there were armed guards in civilian clothes guarding all kinds of RVs and pickup trucks and cars, sedans, vehicles of every civilian type with Trump flags, Stop the Steal flags, etc. Coming up to Arlington, up in here, I haven't figured out where it is, but the alternate hotel is where they have the pictures of the Proud Boys carrying in firearms. Keep in mind, firearms are legal in Virginia. Here we have the Washington Monument. Oh, let's come back down to the Pentagon. This is the Pentagon right here, and this is the Pentagon Lagoon. One of the original plans, advertised on social media, on Facebook as a matter of fact, and since scrubbed, they were planning on parking boats here, you know, the boats with all the Trump flags, and they were going to march across the 14th Street Bridge and go on into the Capitol armed. They're going to bring their weapons with them in broad daylight. Fortunately, the pussies were too old, too pot-bellied, and that was just too far for them to walk. The hotel in Arlington was a backup because the original hotel, Hotel Harrington on 11th Street, that was the original place. Yeah, Harry's, pretty good food there. That was the original place that they were going to do the marshalling at. They had to stop that because some dorks with cameras were caught before all this First Amendment stuff started, caught watching the Hotel Harrington because we were onto these dick smacks, the Washington police caught on to what we were doing. When they figured out why we were doing it, they shut the Hotel Harrington down. It was just like a week before the insurrection. I'm not sure. So they moved to the alternate hotel somewhere here in Arlington. But this is the National Mall. Farthest to the west is the Lincoln Memorial. In the middle is the Washington Monument. This is the ellipse. Let me zoom out a little bit. This is the White House. And the ellipse is where Trump's speech was supposed to be, actually where it was. This filled up, just like it did with the Kamala Harris rally. This filled up, it overflowed. This is where they had the argument with the Secret Service and the Trumpansies. They wanted to take down the metal detectors. The Secret Service was a little too smart for that. But the overflow actually filled all of this up with people. There were people, both the Harris rally on, I think it was Halloween recently, and the Trump rally on January 6th. All right. On the east end of the mall is the Capitol building. Okay, follow me here. At 8:57, Trump tweets his coded tweet to get the people started. At 9 o'clock, I believe, the speeches started at the ellipse. Meanwhile, here at the Washington Monument, the crowd is already violently forcing the park police into the Washington Monument to take shelter. Less than an hour later, similar activity happens here, but the crowd didn't overwhelm them. But, okay, now we have violent mobs at the Washington Monument, and we have violent mobs at the Lincoln Memorial. Quite a ways away from the targets. What do we call that? We call that a distraction. The Proud Boys had enough military experience to realize if we can get resources focusing on the monument and the Lincoln Memorial, we can weaken the defenses at the United States Capitol. Just to the south of the Capitol, well, these buildings are the representatives' office buildings, not the Senate, the representatives. The Senate's on the north side. Down here, past this park, is it? Yeah. Porter Group. Okay. I'm a little bit. It's not New Jersey. All right, let me get my bearings again. Okay, here's the Capitol building. Oh, due south. Okay. So it's on South Capitol Street. National Democratic Club. Okay, that's where one of the pipe bombs was planted. It was looking like now it was meant to be found. It took them a while to find it, but over here just north. Oh, this is where the Capitol Hill Club. That's where the RNC is. I've done audits here and I've done audits here, but on January 6th, these pipe bombs were planted here intentionally to be caught, so that more police resources could be drawn away from the target. The target is the United States Capitol. Let me zoom in on the Capitol a little bit here. Where my pointer is, across 3rd Street, that's National Mall. Technically, Capitol Hill starts, I'm not sure if it's here or on the other side of the reflecting pole. The first fence line was here. Kind of came around here. That was the first barrier. Memory sucks. It was not the bike rack fence line. It was the chicken coop fence line. Yeah, the kind of like the fence like Todd has in his backyard, keeping the chickens in. It doesn't really stop people. It just tells them, hey, this is the limit of your advance. So that's approximately here, and encompassing the Capitol building. Unfortunately, the Rayburn House and the Longworth House, they weren't protected. So the crowds tore down that fencing, and then the inner fence, that's the ones that looks like the bike racks. The crowds at 12, help me out, I think it was 53, started violently tearing down the bike rack ones down here on the southwestern side. Meanwhile, the same thing's happening up here. I can't see this from where I'm at. Remember, I'm over here outside the fence, and I'm watching with my cameras. And if people came by, people came from this direction, and they came from this direction. The people who came by from this direction, I'm getting close-up pictures, and as they go off into the distance and start doing their nasty, they're wearing the same clothes. They have the same backpacks. Okay, now they have disobediently torn down the first fence. They have violently torn down the second fence. We're getting around 1 o'clock or so, and now they're violently breaking into the building. On this side, they're literally climbing up scaffolding, breaking in doors, breaking in windows, fighting cops to get in. Once they get in, they're chasing cops around the Senate gallery here. That's near where that one officer was misleading the crowd away from the Senate, because at that point the vice president and the Senate are still in here. The joint session is happening in the House of Representatives, but they split up because part of the tactic was, hey, let us verbally object to various states so that we have to stop the count and go off into our separate houses of Congress and debate and come back and finish the count. Okay, at this point, the House of Representatives and the Senate are back in their respective places, and now it's getting to be 2-something, and Ashley Babbitt's crowd, they've come up from the rotunda. They figured out where the Senate is. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. The Ashley thing was on the House side. Now, keep in mind, it is 2:43 p.m. 9 a.m., violent attack at the Washington Monument. 10 a.m., violent attack at the Lincoln Memorial. Somewhere in the middle, realization that there are pipe bombs at the just off of Capitol Hill, and we've violently breached 2 layers outside and 1 layer inside, and we're violently chasing police around inside the Capitol building, even after the fucking recon, because they're fucking retards. They can't get their shit straight. Meanwhile, there's an entire battle going on out here on the east side. I didn't see this personally because I'm on the wrong side, and but a lot of people did. Hell, they videoed them fucking selves. Okay, now it's 10:43, and Ashley Babbitt and her group of thugs. By the way, Ashley Babbitt is a convicted violent criminal. She attacked some lover's quarrel thing with her SUV. She tried to commit vehicular manslaughter. Of course, Mr. Byrd doesn't know that. All he knows is 9 o'clock, violence at the monument. 10 o'clock, violence at the Lincoln Memorial. 12:43, violence to break onto the Capitol grounds. And by the way, there's also violence going on in the House office buildings. And now, ever since, there's violence in and around the actual building itself, and they're fighting their way into within 20 feet of the Vice President of the United States. I say again, within 20 feet of the Vice President of the United States, while they are saying, "Hang Mike Pence." And they have a gallows outside, which is on the radio traffic. The cops know. The cops know about 9 a.m. They know about 10 a.m. They know about 12:43. They know about the pipe bombs. They know that this is an attack. Now, Todd, any veteran of combat arms, first, you know that one way to start an attack is have a false attack in other places to draw resources away. You also know you flank. And you also know, if you're on the defense side, you support weakness in the defense. You support success in an offense. You support weakness in a defense. Mr. Byrd, the Secret Service, the Capitol Police are in a defensive position And the Trumpansies are very much aware that if they break through at any of these points, it's over. As long as it happens before Congress is evacuated and the Vice President. We're within 20 feet of the Vice President of the United States, and they're at their last resort. They know of the violence, they know it's attack, and a woman comes through the window. Her window comes through the window in an obvious attack on a constitutional process for what usually is a peaceful transfer of power. They're threatening the lives of the members of Congress, and they're threatening the life of the Vice President of the United States. They are sworn to defend their protectees with deadly force. They have no more options. We're 20 feet away. They've been breached violently several times. They're at their last defensive perimeter. What is their only choice? People who don't understand will look at it and say the death of Ashley Babbitt is a somber, sad experience. A human being died. As a veteran, with Todd being a combat veteran, you support success. You cheer success. You might even sound like that Marine Corps drill instructor and say, God has a hard-on for Marines because we kill people. Todd, Brick, if you ever want to come up on a one-on-one, let me know. It's on. Because you people, well, Brick actually is that fucking stupid. Todd is that cowardly, and he pretends to be that stupid. He is a veteran. He is a veteran who has served in a combat theater. He is a veteran who knows what the fuck a 5-paragraph operations order. He knows what a defensive position is. He knows what offensive operations are. He was part of the planning, not the detailed planning. He wasn't one of the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, or 3%ers. He was one of the tools, the official term that they used for the crowds who were used to distract, to overwhelm and distract. Todd, if you ever want to talk about it one-on-one, let me know. I'll make it happen. Cheerio.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jesus. Happy birthday to you. Today is Christmas. There will be a magic show at 0930. Chaplain Charlie will tell you about how the free world will conquer communism with the aid of God and a few Marines. God has a hard-on for Marines because we kill everything we see. He plays his games, we play ours.
Todd and the haters of the Constitution play their game, and I play mine.